The Champions League is back with its hottest stage, and the question going through all of our heads right now: who will take the trophy home? Well, search no more, because you will get the answer today from me. The tournament tree is ready, so today we're gonna predict all 4 quarterfinals, the 2 semis, and the final to determine the big UCL winner 2024. And if I'm wrong, I'm giving away a football item of the winning team, potentially worth up to 200 euros. More on that later. I think I'm wearing the fitting shirt to predict this as neutrally as possible, because this club doesn't have anything to do with the UCL this season. Let's get into it. I think these games actually progressively get better the further we move down. We start with the top one though, Atletico de Madrid against Borussia Dortmund. Not many people would have expected BVB to even get into the last 8 under Edin Terzic, not even Dortmund fans themselves. But here they are. They knocked out PSV Eindhoven with a draw in Holland and then a 2-0 win, pretty comfortable at home. Of course, that can't be overestimated. PSV are not on the level of any of these remaining teams, but they remain unbeaten domestically, will probably win the Eredivisie with ease, so they're not a weak side. And it has to be said that Dortmund at home in the Westfalenstadion, and they do play the second leg at home here once again, they're incredibly tough to beat, especially in Europe. PSG came there, Newcastle, Milan, and now PSV. None of them managed to beat them. On the other hand though, we have Simeone's Atletico, one of the most uncomfortable teams to face in the whole world. They easily topped their group against Lazio, Feyenoord, and Celtic. Okay, not the toughest opponents, but then Inter came, which for me is still a top 5 team in the world this season, and even they couldn't survive at the Wanda Metropolitano. So Atletico at home are probably just as tough to crack as Dortmund at home, maybe even tougher. You know what? I'd expect this first leg to be a 1 or rather 2-0 for Atletico, maybe also 3, but Dortmund's job should really be to make sure they only lose by 1 goal maybe, because then they still have a good chance to advance here at home. I say Atletico will get a higher win at home in Madrid than Dortmund will get in Dortmund though. And that means our first semi-finalist is Atletico de Madrid. Then who will they face in the semis? I mean, it's clear to say this bracket here is easier than the bottom bracket. I think all of the 4 teams were actually rather happy to end up on this side of the tournament tree. PSG against Barca is an interesting one with a lot of history behind it as well. I mean, remontada 2017. Don't really think that will happen this year though. For those of you who don't watch Ligue 1, so probably the majority here, sadly, PSG are leading the table by 12 points. They're comfortably winning the league once again, with only a single loss so far. What I want to show you by that is just because PSG aren't as flashy anymore without Messi and Neymar, don't get as much hype, they are potentially, no, certainly better than back when they had Messi and Neymar, so don't underestimate them. Kylian Mbappé will always get a job done, especially in knockout stages when it really matters. About Barca, I'm not really sure. They struggled more in their group stage than they should have, and okay, knocked out Napoli back in the European quarterfinals for the first time since Messi. It's a good sign, but are they really good enough this season to play among Europe's elite? The fact they don't play at Camp Nou this season because of the renovations and have to host their home games at the Olympic Stadium, which is really not optimal, let's say, far from the pitch, running track, bad for the fans. I feel like this doesn't really create the atmosphere that Barca need as well, or that they have in Camp Nou on big games. I personally believe the opponent for Atletico in the semis is going to be Paris Saint-Germain. Probably not the semi-final you would have expected before the start of the Champions League season, but here we go. I think it's going to happen, and it could be very interesting tactically. But now let's get to the bottom half of the bracket, and for me personally, the most exciting game in these quarterfinals, Arsenal against Bayern. This is the game Arsenal fans, according to themselves, have been wanting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years now, since they last faced Bayern in the knockouts in the UCL. Gunners fans on social media, they've been demanding revenge for so many seasons. Hey, they get their chance now, but will they use it? I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be a 10-2 anymore. Bayern are not at their best right now, and Arsenal, of course, are far better than in that late Wenger era. They've improved a lot. We have to admit that they are in the Premier League title race for the 2nd time in a row now. One of the best teams in England and also one of the best teams in the world. But one thing is missing as Harry Kane returns to North London. I think Arsenal, under Arteta, they still lack that European experience, that especially that Champions League experience on the highest level. It's only their first season back in the competition, and yes, they made it to the quarters now. Not really convincing against Porto. Had to win on pens. Now they are here facing the first real big boy, and I think people underestimate that European pedigree that you need to perform on these special UCL nights. People don't really rate that enough, but it's there. That's also one of the reasons Real Madrid are winning so much. And Arsenal currently don't have that. I mean, they never really had that in the Champions League, but especially now when they are only back after so many years. I think it's going to be a close game. They could actually beat Bayern at the Emirates. I'm not ruling that out, but then the return leg, just like Bayern did against Lazio, they will win at home. So we see 2 amazing games, but after all, for me, Bayern and Harry Kane advance. And that would be very funny after all of the tweets I've seen from Arsenal fans about this game already. Hey, the biggest talkers in the football world. No fan base talks as big as these guys. Now let's get to the last quarterfinal, and that is a match that we've had for the 53rd time in a row now in the Champions League knockouts. Real Madrid against Manchester City. No, to be fair, it was the case in 2023 and in 2022. Well, 2022, I was there in the second leg of the semi-finals. The absolute miracle happened where Real Madrid still came back. 2023 then, City got their revenge. Both times, the winner of this match went on to win the whole thing. So will that also be the case this year? And who even wins this? I say this is the hardest one for me to predict, not gonna lie. City, of course, reigning champions, best team in the world last season. This season, contenders for it as well. The only thing that you could say is Haaland has turned back into an actual human. He's not a robot anymore, so they're not unbeatable anymore as they were last year. While Real Madrid have added Jude Bellingham, definitely the best U21 player in the world. But even there, they're not flawless against Leipzig. If we're being honest, if the better team had advanced and some ref decisions would have gone a bit fairer, then we would see Leipzig against Man City here in this quarterfinal. Because Real Madrid were not the better side against RB Leipzig. They were a bit lucky to advance, but once again that might just be their European pedigree that I already mentioned for Arsenal against Bayern that plays a big role in these nights. For me, this one is literally 50-50. However you predict it, it's a reasonable decision. City won it last time. This time, let's just go for Real Madrid there, because I think with Jude Bellingham, yeah, it could be a special season, a special story for them. That means the second semi-final is Bayern against Real Madrid. The two biggest teams or most successful teams in football history. Hey, that's gonna be a banger. So now already, that means if somehow Dortmund, Barcelona, Arsenal or Man City win the Champions League, I already have to give something away. But let's see who gets knocked out now. Atletico against PSG. That's so hard to predict, because what will Simeone do? Will he just park the bus all day? Attack PSG on the counters? I don't really think that PSG will let that happen to them. They're really smart this season tactically, and probably better based on sheer quality as well. So for Atletico to somehow make it to the final, they would have to come off that passion again that they showed against Inter in the second leg at home. But nevertheless, even though I think PSG are the better side, I'm gonna go for Atletico to advance to the final, man. I mean, my gut feeling tells me that, and you know, in these games, because they are just hypothetical games, you can't just go off your gut feeling, right? So for me, Atletico de Madrid are going to the UCL final for the first time since 2016, when they played the Derby Madrileño against Real Madrid. And will they have that again this year, or is it gonna be Bayern? This game here, if I manage to watch that in the stadium somehow, I will try my best to be there, because this is literally European football heritage. Two elite teams led by Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. Woo! Bayern have their flaws. I mean, they're not going to win the Bundesliga. They're not going to win the Pokal. They're knocked out there. So the Champions League is literally their only chance to not go trophyless. I don't remember the last time they actually went trophyless. That must have been way back in 2011 or 12 when Dortmund last won the Bundesliga under Jurgen Klopp. That's how long ago this was. Madrid at least are winning La Liga, so they have a trophy in the back already. But, you know, for Real Madrid, only the Champions League counts, right? This is their competition. You know what? Gut feeling again. I say... Woo! This is hard. Come on, Real Madrid. We're getting another Madrid derby in the Champions League final after 2014, 2016 and now 2024. 10 years later, after that Sergio Ramos header 92-48, will Real Madrid also beat Atletico in their third Champions League final derby, or is third time the charm, and it's finally time for the Rojiblancos to win their first ever Champions League? Atletico or Real, the underdogs or the kings of this competition? Number 1 or number 15? I say number 50. Bro, I literally clicked on Real Madrid. Here we go. The Champions League winner 2024, in my humble opinion, will be Real Madrid. For the 15th time. This is getting a bit ridiculous if we're being honest, but I could very well imagine Jude Bellingham, who else scored the winner in the 96th minute against Atletico, or 123rd minute. It's written in the books. Now to my giveaway though. If this doesn't happen, if Real Madrid don't win the Champions League, so basically if any of the other 7 teams win it, which is a very bad bet for myself, but I'll do it. I will give away the Champions League winning goal scorer on Sorare. So let's say City end up winning it. Haaland scores the winning goal. I'm giving you Erling Haaland Sorare cards. Worth quite a lot of money. Or if Bayern end up winning it, Kane scores the decisive goal. I'm giving you Kane Sorare card. Worth even more money. If PSG somehow win their first ever trophy and Kylian Mbappé scores the winning goal, I'm sending one of you Kylian Mbappé Sorare cards. You get the concept. I'm gonna be broke. So please, Jude Bellingham, save me and my wallet. Nah, just kidding. I'm happy to send one of you a Sorare card. Make sure you already sign up and create a free account if you you haven't yet. The link is in the description, and you'll even get $20 in free credits once you sign up. But I'm even happier if my prediction comes true and Real Madrid actually win the whole thing, because then I'm gonna brag about it for a whole year. As always, let me know your prediction down in the comments. Let's discuss, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Fiago is out. Peace.